What up, maniacs? Shakiel Mahjouri here, and you know who this man is. They say remember the name, but how could you forget? He's a triple threat in the cage, behind the analyst chair, and a Twitter thumb. Mean Twitter game as well. Belal Muhammad, how are you?
Good, man. How you feeling? That was a good intro right
I'm
there.
doing good. Appreciate it, man. Gotta spice things up a bit. I know these things get a little monotonous. I gotta do my part as well. And I gotta thank you though. I put out a tweet last week with a little graphic saying, "Hey, anyone got a question for Bilal Muhammad?" And you retweeted it. So I appreciate the followers.
No, always.
So people kind of cheated because I was gonna pick one question to ask you, but then Julian Marquez, your fellow UFC fighter, had to slide in there, and so I can't leave his question out. So I got two for you. But first on his end, he asked, "Who has the best beard in MMA?" Are you going to take this for yourself, or is there someone you want to sort of throw flowers to?
I mean, obviously, when I get my hair cut and it's clean, there's not a better beard in the game right now. But I'll give Julian his props. Yeah, he keeps it clean. It's not dirty. It's not like overly furry or like dirt. It's not a big country beard where it doesn't look freaking clean. But yeah, I'll give him he could be second place.
Second place sounds good. He's already got Miley, so we can't give him everything
Yeah.
here. The other one, and I got a little chuckle, admittedly, when I saw this, but have you gotten the French Montana comparison before?
Literally, I get it all the time, and I was like, it honestly doesn't make sense to me because I don't see it. But everybody, anytime I post anything, that's the only comments I get is, "That's French brother. That's French brother." And I'm like, all right.
Okay, well let's put you on the other side of the mirror here. I get Pete Davidson a lot. Can you see that? I know the backup webcam you're seeing me on isn't that great.
I can see it, and I hear it in your voice a little bit.
All right, so
Yeah.
maybe it's one of those things that we can't see for ourselves. But hey, man, he bags some beautiful women, so I'm okay with that comparison. All right, so you're taking on Demian Maia, UFC 263, Saturday, June 12th. This is an interesting scenario. So from my amateur eyes, when I look at a fight like this, Demian Maia, obviously a veteran, one of the greatest of all time without a doubt, always adding new wrinkles to the game, but to some degree, he's established and we know the threats that he possesses and the game plan that he comes in with versus, a younger guy. There's a lot of evolution from fight to fight, yourself included. For you, is the blueprint sort of set on how to beat Demian Maia and it's just kind of a matter of execution at this point?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, you know what he's gonna do. He's like a specialist, so there's certain guys where they're gonna come in there with the same game plan, same mindset. And like you said, he's an older guy, so like he's been in the game long enough, and his stuff's obviously worked. Where it's got him to the point where he's fought for the title twice, and he hasn't been out of the top 10 in his whole career, basically. And like I said, where people are saying, "Oh, well, he's older," but literally he's 3-1 out of his last 4 fights. And the only guys that have beaten him are Kamaru, Kobe, Gilbert Burns, like guys that have all competed for the title or are champions. So, I mean, like if it ain't broke, why fix it? So, like for him, it's like if I get people to the ground, if I take them down, I take their back, most of them fold. So, the only guys that have beaten him are guys that with all the same blueprint, defend the takedowns, keep it on the feet, stay out of his guard. So it's like, yeah, I don't feel like he's going to come with anything different. It's just everybody always has that mindset. Well, I don't want him to take me down. I can't have him take me down. But I mean, there's thinking about it. There's making a game plan about it. But then there's executing it and actually going in there with the pressure on. With you, when you actually feel him on you, can you be able to withstand his takedowns?
It felt like forever we were talking about when is Belal Muhammad going to start getting some ranked opponents. And if I'm not mistaken, you had a pretty conservative but sort of methodical call out in Li Jingliang. And then next thing we know, you're getting bumped up to Leon Edwards. And that was a whole crazy situation between Leon not being able to get a top 5 fight and then Hamzat Chimaev and then you step in. Obviously, there was the eye poke that unfortunately ended the whole thing. I know you wanted to run it back and Leon didn't. Do you think, in the grand scheme of things, Demian Maia was a suitable follow-up to the Leon Edwards fight, considering that unfortunately we didn't really get to see how that was going to pan out?
Yeah, it was like one of those where, man, like I've literally won 8 out of my last 9, and like I wasn't being able to get a ranked opponent. And I'm yelling at my manager, and I'm like, bro, what the heck's going on? He's like, Sean's trying, but he can't make guys say yes. And it was like one of those kind of like the Benio Darush effect, where it's like they don't really have anything to gain from fighting you, and you're a tough fight. And I'm a guy that's like good everywhere in it, and like guys are afraid of that. So like nowadays, everybody has that business mindset of I want to take the right fight, the right path, whatever's going to give me the most money, and I don't want to take any dangerous opponents or dangerous fights. So stylistically, a lot of those guys, I match up well with a lot of the guys in the top 10, I feel like. But yeah, it was one of those where I called Li Jingliang because I'm just like, let me start off small with just a ranked opponent. And then I had everybody like, whoa, why didn't he aim higher? Why didn't he aim higher? I'm like, bro, let me just get a ranked guy first. And then all of a sudden they call me again after that Lima fight with Leon Edwards. And I'm like, all right, well, I get to skip the line and then fight him. So that would be perfect. And then, like you said, that turned out terrible. But, yeah, I feel like it's one of those where I've always wanted to fight Maia. He's one of those guys that, I honestly look up to, where I study his tapes, see how he goes for takedowns. I've always watched him, always wanted to fight him. He's one of those names that's like a legend of the sport, kind of like a Donald Cerrone, where it's like every fan knows who he is and all fighters respect him. So it's like, it's not one of those where I'm going to go in there talking trash to the guy and trying to disrespect him. It's like, he's like one of those guys where you probably see him in the street or something. I'm about him just because, he has to respect everybody and he's earned everybody's respect because he's been in the game for so long. So, yeah, for me, it's honestly like an honor to fight him. And especially if it's like considered like one of his last fights where he's saying that he's ready to hang him up. If I could get his name on my resume, that'd be great.
Regarding the Leon Edwards situation, obviously you weren't happy with the fallout from that fight. When I look at it, honestly, I get why Leon Edwards doesn't want to run it back. Dana White already told him, hey, you did this, you took this fight. Originally against Hamzat, we're going to make sure you're fighting someone who you feel like your name value is going to get you to a title shot immediately. I don't know that maybe he's a little dismissive of you in the way he spoke about it, but is it sort of water under the bridge, or do you think Leon's still kind of a chump for turning down the rematch with you?
I mean, like you said, for me, the thing that disrespected me the most was just like how you said he's more dismissive of it and like, well, you guys saw that round win. And I'm like, bro, it was 1 round and a 5-round fight, and I'm one of those fighters where my cardio is a big key in the way I fight. So like the fact that he was talking like that and trying to talk tough, but right after he was like, oh, I'm so sorry, brother, and yada, yada, yada. But then you see him on the mic and like, well, I was killing him anyway. And I'm like, bro, killing me. It was literally 1-round fight. So that's what honestly pissed me off the most about it. And like, but like you said, like it's understandable. Like to me, I'm a way harder fight than Nate Diaz, but obviously Nate Diaz has one of the biggest names in the game. So it's like, I feel like even for the UFC, where the UFC probably wanted to book that one, because like you're looking for a next opponent for Kamaru, but like there isn't really nobody with huge name value, especially if like Leon deserves it, but like you said, like he has no followers, he's not very active on social media, and especially nowadays where you need that social media, you need fans to like want to push for you to like. Masvidal got a rematch right after just because he's so big in the popular right now. So like people love him and people want to see that and people are going to pay for that. For Leon Edwards, people are probably like, who is this guy? But fighters know he's on a 9-fight winning streak and this. But like fans really don't know just because he just doesn't have no personality. He's like bland when he talks. And you can't be that way nowadays. You have to promote yourself. You have to make the fans want to watch you fight. Like even if Nate Diaz wins this fight, fans are going to be calling for him to get that title fight just because he's Nate Diaz.
Do you, when I'm playing sort of fantasy matchmaker or bookie in this sort of situation, I like that you are placed on the same card just because I feel like it opens up a lot of options. Let's say, God forbid, Diaz or Leon falls out. They may call on you to step up if you're willing. It puts you guys on track for a follow-up fight. Let's say one of those guys wins and you win and the timelines work out. Do you keep your eye on that sort of stuff? Like, do you look at Nate and Leon fighting on the same card as you and saying, okay, cool, this gives me some more options in terms of who I call out and who I might get to match up with next?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I'm sitting there rooting for Nate Diaz because if Leon loses, I'm going to be calling him out right away, especially being on the same card. And if he loses, definitely I feel like it's a fight that makes sense if I come out this fight healthy and beating Demian Maia, because Demian Maia is one of those guys where if you beat him, like, all right, now they know, all right, well, this guy belongs with those top 5 fighters. So it's one of those fights. I feel like after this one, I get this win, I deserve a big name.
Any other names that come to mind that you think would make sense next time around? I mean, maybe if we start calling them out early, you'll get what you want.
Just somebody with, I've always wanted that Vicente Luque fight back. So like,
Mm-hmm.
even if that one, I really want that one. But like, definitely if Leon loses, I want that one for sure. But other
Okay.
than that, yeah, I feel like I come out of this one, I want Luque.
Sounds good. Would it be all right if we touch a little bit on the ongoing Israel-Palestine conflict?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, thank you. Just one thing, I don't even really like to call it a conflict, but you posted something that I thought was really important. I kind of was hoping you could touch on this. It just seems like we keep going through this song and dance where there's a pandemic and we see a rise of violence and rhetoric against Asian people. We see the Israeli government attacking and suppressing Palestinians and Muslims, and now we're seeing a rise of anti-Semitism. And I appreciate that you posted something to the effect of blame the government, not all Jewish people. When you look at the attacks on Muslims and Palestinians in Israel and the rise of anti-Semitism, like what's the lesson there that you wish people would sort of clue into?
Yeah, that's the biggest. Like, literally, my Jared Gordon is literally one of my best friends, and he's a Jewish guy, and we literally lived together for 2 years. I do my podcast with Jason Anik. John Anik's a really good friend, so like, I don't want people to think that it's a religious thing. Like, when I tell people also all the time, it's like there is the population in Palestine is there's a huge Christian population, so it's not like they're just killing Muslims or this. There's Christians that are getting killed and getting kicked out of their homes as well. So I don't want people to think it's a religious thing. And also, like, Palestinians, we are Semitic, so we can't be anti-Semitic because it's about the language you're speaking. So it's like when people say that, like, they just look for those type of words, those little keywords, and they just throw it out there. Even with like Hamas, where it's like you're showing a picture of kids dying, and I get so many comments of, what about Hamas? And I'm like, bro, you think this 3-year-old kid that just got bombed and killed is Hamas? Like people just look for keywords, just like trigger words that will get other people, trolls and stuff, honestly trolls that are literally just want to just comment that on your thing just so they can get a rise up out of you or something like that. Mm-hmm. But like I said, I literally love Jewish people. Our religions are even close when you speak about our religion. So like when people say that, oh, you're anti-Jewish or anti-this, I'm like, bro, my best friend literally is Jared Gordon, and I'm gonna be standing up at his wedding. So I don't know what people say when they bring up that type of topic to me, because it's like funny when that happens. And even him, like, he even responded on one of my posts with like a heart or something like that, and he messaged me like, bro, I'm getting so many messages, like, what are you doing? Why would you do this? And I'm like, people are nuts. Like, it's not it's literally has nothing to do with religion. It has to do with like humanity. Like, people are literally dying, and people are losing their homes and things like that. So if you didn't put no name on anything, you didn't put no label on them, like if you didn't know they were Palestinian, you didn't know they were this, you didn't know they were Muslim, like what would you think if I said, yo, this group A right here has over 300 kids died, 1,000 people displaced from their homes, yada yada yada, and then group B, they have 10 deaths, and they have one of the biggest armies, and they have all these weapons and all this money. Like, which side are you going to take? You're gonna go to this side, obviously, because you're going to feel bad for these people. But when you put that label on as Palestine, this and this, people just look for that. They always have that Hamas, terrorists. I'm like, bro, it has nothing to do with that right now.
Yeah, I could go on about how little I like to talk to people about important issues over social media, which is why I'm happy that we can do this in person. Last thing on this, if I'm not mistaken, you were born in the U.S. to Palestinian parents, correct?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. So as an American as well, an American-born citizen, what role would you like to see the U.S. government play in the ongoing treatment of Israel towards Palestine?
Honestly, they need somebody like really to step up and like put an end to it. So like, you can't have the president of the United States saying, well, they have a right to defend themselves from Hamas. And it's like, when you say stuff like that, then that puts it out there to just the regular Joe Schmo people that don't know what's really going on out there. Well, I feel like the biggest thing that's going on with people is like they're misinformed. Even with like when you're talking about COVID, and they're trying to throw the vaccine and everything at you, but like they're not trying to inform people of how to be healthier, how to go out there and put exercise in. Like this whole ongoing conflict, a lot of people are misinformed with everything, and not a lot of people know what's really going on there. and like you don't really have the mainstream media like pushing like the real story of what's happening, and like literally the history of it. So like I feel like even with me, I have a lot of friends that'll post about it, and like just because they support me, so they'll post about it, and then they'll get messages of people like, you don't know what's going on, you don't know what's going on. So then I'll have to inform them like, yo, this is the story. Put your 2 cents in, whatever you think, but like this is really what it is. This is all the information, and you can do with it what you want. You can take whoever side what you want with it, but give the real information. Don't sit there and tell me that these 90 kids that just got killed are part of a terrorist organization, because they're not.
As we wrap up here, I do want to end on a bit of a brighter note, not to, sort of undervalue the importance of what we've been talking about. But a good friend of yours, Paul Felder, recently announced his retirement, and probably one of my all-time favorite MMA-related videos is when you tried to, you got one of your friends to dress up as a prince and tried to get Paul Felder to kiss his hand. So I wanted to end this here by asking, do you have any other favorite, funny, memorable Paul Felder stories that maybe haven't seen the light of day yet?
Honestly, the best memories I have of Paul are like sparring with him, because like even when you spar with Paul, if you like hit him with anything, because I'm the type where in practices, like I'm joking around, I'm like having fun. I love to be at work, but Paul, like when it's sparring time, like he gets in his zone. Like when you see him, even when he fights, he always has that look on his face. And then when sparring, when he has that look on his face, like it's funny to me because I'm like, yo, we're friends here. And then he's like looking at you like a mean look on his face. And then like literally anytime you hit him with a jab or something like that, then you know it's gonna be a hard spar. It's like it's always like me and Jared Gordon, we'll see. And then like Jared will be on the sidelines, he'll be like, dude, oh man, what it's about to happen, it's about to start. Because you know that like he doesn't have a joke around bone in his body when it comes to sparring or going live like that. Paul Felder is like, he's a serious dude when it comes to MMA practice. So it's like always funny when I'll go with him and I'll be in practice and even if I make him faint or like he'll sit there and like flinch a little bit, like he'll get angry off it and then he'll just want to freaking hurt you off of that. And I'm like, bro, what's wrong with you?
I love it. Hey, Belal, I want to thank you so much first and foremost for making the time today. It was a great interview. You fight Demian Maia at UFC 263 on Saturday, June 12th. Best of luck, and hoping to catch you on the post fight, man.
Thanks, brother. Appreciate you.